welcome back. It's so good to see you. So, today we are going to be talking about what I've been watching for the month of December. I did watch, I don't want to say a lot of stuff, but it's December. So, I watched all the classic Christmas movies, but I'm not going to include them in this because I typically like to talk about movies and shows that I've watched that are new. I did watch a few new Christmas movies. They weren't really that great. The only one that I actually really liked was, it was on Disney Plus, and it was Diary of a Wimpy Kid. It was like a 1 hour movie special or whatever. That was so cute, and like it touched my heart. It was really good. But besides that, I mean, they were all right. They were just very predictable and classic, So, we're not going to be talking about Christmas movies because Christmas is over. So, today we have, I think, movies, shows, and one documentary to talk about. And this is just a bunch of mostly depressing things. All of it is basically depressing. I don't know what's up with the month of December, and maybe they had to get out some depressing stuff to go along with the cheesy, happy Christmas stuff. I don't know. But anyway, so let's just go ahead and get started. So the first thing that I watched is a mini series, and it is called A Murder at the End of the World. I'm going to move my notes. Hopefully I don't knock it over. A Murder at the End of the World, and it is, I don't know if it's on FX, but it's by FX Hulu. I watched it on Hulu. I don't know if it's on FX or not. But this is like a mystery, thriller, drama, crime type thing. It stars Emma Corrin. She's the only reason that I watched it, because she's from The Crown. Clive Owen and Harris Dickinson. And when I first started watching this, that guy, Harris Dickinson, was driving me up the wall. I was like, how do I know this guy? He was one of the main guys from Triangle of Sadness. I talked about it's on Hulu as well. Good movie. But anyway, okay, so what is this little mini series about? It is about, okay, so Emma Corrin, she's very young, and she plays a writer slash hacker slash amateur sleuth, like detective. I feel like the word sleuth is just so weird to me because that word I associate with Tigger from Winnie the Pooh. Because there used to be like this little short or something on Disney Junior about sleuths, and it was Tigger and, I don't know, somebody else solving crimes. So when I hear sleuth, I think of like little baby things, so it's weird for an adult to be called a sleuth. I don't know. But anyway, okay, so it's like a story inside a story. It's very strange, but it's really good. Like, at first I was like, I don't know if I want to watch this. I kept putting it off. And I thought all the episodes had uploaded, so I was like, I'll watch it, Within the first 5 minutes, I was like, what is this? Okay, so this girl walks into a bookstore, and she's like in a hoodie, and she's got headphones on, like, gross, right? And there's this artist doing like a reading, and everybody's like, yay, clap, clap, clap. Can our next reader come up? And it's this girl. And so she walks up there, and everybody looks at her, and she takes her headphones off, and she just starts talking, and people are like, stupid kid, right? Let's walk away. So people start getting up and leaving. But she starts reading the end of her book. And she's like, I don't know, I'm not supposed to start at the end, but I do. So she's telling about a story, a true story that happened to her. And her father was like a medical examiner. He would go to crime scenes and determine how people died, if they were murdered, that kind of thing. And he would always, I don't know if he was a single dad or like what happened to her mom, but she would always end up being at these crime scenes and like looking at stuff. And she wrote about this one specific serial killer who, her and this guy, it was another amateur sleuth, tried to solve themselves, this serial killer. And that's one part of the story. Another part of the story is after this reading, she mentions the name of another hacker, which she started hacking because of this one hacker. And the hacking thing is part of it, but it's like, I kind of like gloss over that because it just goes way over my head, you know. It doesn't matter. Super sciencey, hacky stuff, you get it. And she had mentioned this lady's name, and this lady's married to like this mega billionaire, and somehow she gets an invite to this super secret like meeting from the billionaire who's married to this hacker who she's obsessed with. So she ends up going on this super secretive retreat with a bunch of other people. They have no idea where they're going, who actually invited them, because it could have been the billionaire or the, I don't know, whatever. Anyway, they end up Iceland, maybe? I don't know. I'm pretty sure it's Iceland. There's this super exclusive hotel that's there that this billionaire built, and he really just brought them all together to show them all these like technology things and stuff. And I guess it's like a week there, but they're isolated, like it's in the middle of nowhere. And anyway, so it's just about that. It sounds super boring, but then like someone gets murdered, and it's like, wow, we just so happen to have this amateur sleuth here and hackers and blah blah blah. So it's just about that. It sounds stupid. It sounds so dumb and just boring and typical, like, oh, who done it? And no, this is fantastic. It's, I don't want to say it's scary, but it's a thriller. Like it's intense, and it's really cool because all the technology that's involved, it's really cool. And I thought I had waited until all the episodes had uploaded, and I got to episode 6 and it said, oh, next episode is like on Tuesday, whatever. And I was like, no. So I had to wait not a long time. It was like 3 days. I had to wait 3 days, but those were like the longest 3 days because I was like, oh my gosh, what is happening? It's real good, and it's on my husband's next to watch list. We started watching, what's that called, Fargo. He had never seen any of them, and the new season of Fargo has come out. I don't know if it's done or not because we haven't gotten there, because I've had to start from season 1. So right now we had just started season 4, so I'm sure I'll talk about season 5 at the end of January. But anyway, this is the next show that my husband is going to be watching because it is amazing, but also like real sad and depressing and just, but totally worth it. Yeah, okay. Sorry, my eyes are starting to do like the thing, and it's hard for me to read today, so if I'm like focusing really hard, I'm sorry. I have to have my notes or I'm just totally lost. Okay, the next thing that I watched is a movie on Netflix, and it is called Leave the World Behind. Oh, did I tell you the Rotten Tomato score on the other thing? I don't know. On Murder at the End of the World, Rotten Tomatoes score gave it an 89, audience score gave it a 94, and I agree. Very good. Okay, Leave the World Behind on Netflix. Rotten Tomatoes score gave it a 76, audience score gave it a 34. What? It's like huge differences, right? Okay, this is a very realistic horror movie type thing. I don't know how else to describe that. But it stars Julia Roberts, Ethan Hawke, and it also has Kevin Bacon in it. Kevin Bacon plays this really little part, but it's like memorable. And this is a movie about a family who just randomly decides to go on a little weekend vacation. So the mom, Julia Roberts, rents like an Airbnb. I think they're in New York, but it's like, I don't know anything about New York or like what's off of it. I don't want to say it's New Jersey. I don't know what the little island is. There's some, maybe it's island. I don't know. Whatever. They go to a little Airbnb that's kind of like off an island off New York. Maybe. I don't know. Anyway, and it's a really nice house. Like, how much did this cost? I think it was roughly like $2,000 a night. Yikes. What does Julia Roberts do? I got no idea. Anyway, so I don't know, like she goes to the grocery store, gets some stuff, and that's when she sees Kevin Bacon and he's doing something weird, and she's like, okay. And I never noticed it. Never. My husband noticed it right away when he watched it. I watched this movie twice, by the way. Anyway, and then they decide to go to the beach. So they go to the beach, and they've got 2 kids, and their son is teenager, so he's just like typical gross teenager. And then they have a younger daughter, which I think she's 12, maybe? I don't know. Anyway, and she's constantly looking out to sea, and there's this big like ship, and she's like, wow, that's a big ship. It looks like it's headed this way, you know. And a couple hours go by or whatever, and all of a sudden the daughter's like still looking out there like, I think that boat is coming towards us. And they look and they're like, holy crap, because the boat is coming towards them, and it literally like crashes into the beach, and it takes a long time for it to stop. But I think it's like an oil tanker. I don't know nothing about it, but Ethan Hawke kept saying like oil tanker stuff. So they're like, well, what the hell? So as they're leaving, they ask the guy, they're like, what happened? And he's like, oh no, something happened with the radar. You know, it's been happening to the ships throughout the coastline. You know, let's just get you out of here so that we can figure out what's going on. So they go home, and the internet stopped working, and they're like, oh, what's going on? Internet's not working, whatever. They eventually all get ready for bed, and the wife and husband, they're all having this conversation, and then there's this really loud knock at the door, and they're like, yikes, because it's like late at night, right? So she's like, okay, you get a bat, you know, just in case it's somebody, like, come on. Anyways, he's like, yeah, where am I gonna get a bat? So he grabs this like statue type thing, acting like he's gonna do something with it. Okay, Ethan Hawke. Anyway, and he's like, you know what, why don't you just start dialing 911 just in case, you know. And she's got no phone signal, so they open the door, and the guy automatically knows her, and she's like, how do I know you? And he's like, oh, we've been emailing back and forth. This is actually my house. There was a blackout. Can we stay here? And she's like, oh, what the hell? I don't know you. No, this could be some sort of trick. Like, they let them stay, and it's real creepy and like kind of scary, because it's like, you don't know these people, and he conveniently doesn't have his phone. He can't, you know, email her or anything, you know, and she can't contact the, you know, rental company to verify anything, because the cell phones and internet is out, and now there's a blackout. So the next day, he's like, I'm just gonna go to the neighbor's house and see what's going on. Crazy stuff's going on at the neighbor's house. Like, planes start crashing. It gets crazy. And they can't leave. They try to leave because they're like, this is getting nuts. They try to leave, and something happens with Tesla vehicles that prevent them from leaving. So then they end up coming back to the Airbnb house, and it just gets crazy. There's talk of like cyber terrorism and, mass confusion, all kinds of stuff. It's really scary to watch because if there were any type of attacks or something like that, this movie is exactly how it would go down. Like, exactly. It's so good, but also terrifying. But it's a different kind of scary movie, because it's like real. It's like real. I think people did not like the movie because of the way that it ended. But once you see the movie, it's like, how else was it going to end? How else, you know what I mean? It's like they kind of left it open-ended, but no, they didn't. Like, because if you think about things that people said throughout the, I don't know, it's like, okay, obviously this is what they did and this is what happened, and like, I don't know, maybe they didn't like it because it was too real, but I don't know why people didn't like it. But the one thing that I was like, what the hell, is because the production company, people who made this movie, were Barack and Michelle Obama. It was a movie made from their production company, and it's because this is actually a book, and Barack really liked this book. He put it on like his summer reading list last year or something, and I guess he liked it so much that he was like, we need to make a movie about this. So they went through his production company to do that. But that feels extra scary because the president was like, I like this book. People need to see this. And that worries me because it's like, does he know? Does he know something? Is he one of those guys that has like one of those secret mega bunkers? I wonder. I know I'm all over the place, but I'm like, because you know that the actual president, like current president, they do have secret under bunker things and blah, blah, blah. But like, what happens to the, ex-presidents and stuff? Do they have access to that? Like, or do they have their own? Like, how does that work? I don't know. Hopefully we never have to find out, right? Anyway, okay. So the next thing that I watched is a show on Netflix, and it is The Crown Season 6, the final season. For this specific season, Rotten Tomato score gave it a 56. Audience score gave it an 87. For the whole series, Rotten Tomato score gave it an 81. Audience score gave it a 92. I give it a 100 because I freaking love it. It is one of my top 10 favorite shows of all time. But I am obsessed with the Queen. I love her. And I'm still sad that she's not here. Like, it still feels like, what do you mean she's not here? What? And I know there's a king, but come on, he's never gonna be her. Sorry. And it stars a billion people. Every 2 seasons, it's a new queen. So, anyway, but this season, it focuses on Princess Diana, the divorce, or actually, it's after the divorce, and her relationship with her sons and Prince Charles, and then her death, and after her death, and then it, changes focus to Charles and his rebuilding of his relationship with his sons, because they were not happy about the divorce, and Camilla and, that kind of thing. But it also introduces Kate Middleton, and it really is just like a reflection of, not a reflection, it's the queen is reflecting on her life and her past and her reign, really, and I guess like the burden of the crown. I don't know. It wasn't my favorite season. My favorite seasons would probably, I don't know. I love Claire Foy. She's my favorite. That's one thing that I really liked about it. I think it was like the last episode. It might have been the last two episodes when the queen was doing her life reflecting. Her younger self showed up, and then her younger self showed, like it showed like the kid queen, the right before she was queen, and then right after her older years, and then herself now, and she was having conversations with herself. I thought that was really cool that all of the queens came back. I thought that was really cool. I liked that a lot. But I'm just sad. It was always going to end this way. But I'm just sad that it's over. Just like in life. I'm sad that she's gone. But I'm almost wondering, like, are they going to come up with something to replace it? Like, not the crown, obviously, but like, because they ended it, where did they end it? Right after Prince William met Kate Middleton. That's when they ended the show, and it's like there's so much more. It's like, is there going to be some other secondary, like, what do they call those when like they branch off, spin-off? Is there going to be some like The Crown spin-off type situation, or is it just like, you know how it goes, so you don't need a show? Although I do. I love The Crown so much, and but I am going to rewatch it because it's one of my favorite shows. And I understand a lot of people are like, it's not historically accurate. Who cares? It's a show. Shut up. Leave me alone. Leave my show alone. I don't know. The acting I thought was fantastic. So, okay. Anyway, the next thing that I watched is a movie. A lot of the stuff I watched is on Netflix. Like most of it. It's a movie on Netflix, and it is called May December. Rotten Tomato score gave it a 91. I'm going to try and move this again, so I don't have to keep looking over there. Okay, Rotten Tomato score gave it a 91. Audience score gave it a 68. That's a big difference too, right? It stars Natalie Portman, Julianne Moore, I don't know how you say that, and Charles Melton. I suck at names. Okay, this is a fiction drama romance. I don't find it romantic at all, and the reason why I call it fiction is because it's 100% based off of another story. But this is about a couple who have been together for 20 plus years after their crazy tabloid romance. And it's a crazy tabloid romance because this woman, I don't even know how many years older she is than this other person, the man. But when this man was a boy, he was 12 years old. I believe he was in 6th grade. She was a teacher, and she started a relationship with this boy. She went to prison. you know. They eventually got married. While she was in prison, she had their second child. So they had two kids together. By the time he was like 13 or 14, they had started dating. When he was 12, I think she was like 36. So math, whatever. And see what I mean? Fiction, like, hello, that's about, what's her name? Mary Kay Letourneau and Billy Falau. That's 100% them. It's the same situation. She was a teacher who had an affair with her 12-year-old, with a 12-year-old student. Now, in this movie, they are about to celebrate their daughter graduating high school, I think. Their daughters are going off to college. And they are going to be making a movie about their life. Hold on. Sorry. I was getting very sniffly. I didn't want to do that in your ear. But they're making a movie about their life and how they got together and all that stuff. And Natalie Portman is going to be playing the Julianne Moore character, okay? And she comes to visit them so that she can get into the character, and she wants to do their, love story justice, and she wants to see them as a couple, as a family, as parents, that kind of thing. And so she stays for like a week or something like that, just observing and questioning, interviewing them, that kind of thing. And that's the deal. It's just about this woman coming in and like really kind of stirring up stuff from the past, because they're obviously both adults, and they got married and they have kids, and now it's a normal thing. But back then, when he was 12, that is not normal. It's very uncomfortable and kind of sad, and I don't know, weird, but it was real. It felt like I was watching Mary Kay Letourneau and Billy Falau. So after I watched that, I was like, where did they get the inspiration? Because all these articles came out and they were like, this was inspired by this part. So I went down a rabbit hole of the internet and found all the interviews with Mary Kay and Billy and stuff like that. And I thought it was very interesting. She will not, no matter what, admit fault. And it's like, come on, girl. 36-year-old with a 12-year-old little boy. That's weird. But whatever. The movie was good. Again, it was uncomfortable because it was like, dang, but it was very real because it felt like that's the way it was for them, I don't know. Okay, anyway, the next thing that I watched, I don't want to say it's an old movie. It's not an old movie. It's from 2017, so it's not even 10 years old. It's just, I usually talk about new things. This is new to me because my mother-in-law told me about it. It is a movie. You can watch it on Netflix. I think today is the last day that you can watch it on Netflix, but I watched it on Amazon Prime. It's a movie called Wind River, and Rotten Tomatoes score gave it a 80%. Audience score gave it a 90%. It stars Jeremy Renner and Elizabeth Olsen. I am not a fan of Jeremy Renner. I just am not. And my mother-in-law told me about the movie. She's like, you gotta watch it. And then she told me that Elizabeth Olsen was in it. And I was like, oh, okay. Because I love Elizabeth Olsen. She's great. So I was like, okay, if she's in it, it's gotta be some kind of good. So, at the beginning, it says that it is based on true events. It's not based on a true story. It's based on true events because things in this movie have happened to people, okay? But there is a wildlife mm, not police officer, but he's like a wildlife, maybe ranger or something. I don't know. He finds a dead body in the snow, and it is of an 18-year-old woman on an Indian reservation. So there's an autopsy done, and it turns out she was 100% murdered and raped. And so they're like, okay, we gotta investigate this. But because it's on an Indian reservation, it's real complicated. I think it's because they have different laws or something. I'm not really sure how the Native American laws work. I don't know. But I know that it's different than US. But they needed help, so they contacted, I don't know if it was the FBI or US Marshals or what it was, but they were like, help us with this investigation. They sent one person, and it was Elizabeth Olsen. And it's really just about the investigation of what happened to this woman, you know? And I don't want to go into too many details because I don't want to give anything away, but it's about the investigation and what happened to her, how she went missing, what happened after she went missing. There's suspicions around specific people and stuff, and I don't know. Like I said, it's not a true story, but it is based off of true events because so many Native American women, as I'm sure men as well, but a lot of Native American women go missing, and they're not really investigated. At least that's what it said in the movie. They're not investigated, and they're actually not even kept track of, because in the US they keep track. There's like a census of, women who go missing, different demographics, but on Native American, like Indian reservations, there's no census, there's no tracking of it or anything like that. So there's no way to tell how many go missing, but they do go missing, like so much so that they made a movie about it and be like, hey man, this needs to be brought to light. I loved the movie. There was a very hard part in the movie. I did not like it. If you watch it, you are not going to like it. But it's still worth watching because it's really good. And the fact that it's true and this stuff happens, it just is like, what the hell? And it's like, what can we do? Like, I don't even know. Okay, the last thing that I watched is a documentary, and I watched it on Paramount Plus. It is called JFK Revisited Through the Looking Glass. Rotten Tomato score gave it a 63%. Audience score gave it a 77%. And I don't know why. I don't know why it got low scores like that, because I thought that it was fantastic. So, if you don't know, I'm obsessed with JFK. About his presidency, his life, his assassination, all that stuff. And this documentary, it's made from the same person who made that movie. I can't think of the name of the movie, but it's a JFK movie. Oliver Stone or something like that. He directed this as well. This came out in 2021, so it's not really that old. But I had no idea. I actually saw like an ad for it or something. How do you see an ad for something that came out in 2021? What? Anyway, so this documentary examines recently, and this is in 2021, so they probably came out 2020 or something like that, but recently declassified evidence in the JFK assassination. And because they had those things locked up for so long that anybody who was involved with that case or whatever, they're all long dead by now, right? So whatever was in those files, they were like, well, whatever's in here, no, we're not getting in trouble for whatever, because you know that JFK's assassination, there's a huge conspiracy theory around it. And in the description, I wrote it down. It says, it examines recently disclassified evidence in the JFK assassination, proves conspiracy theory is now conspiracy fact. This, I don't know how this movie was made, how it was allowed to be made, because if everything in this movie is, or not movie, documentary, is fact, I am scared for the people who made this movie. Like, how did they not get murdered before this even came out? You know, like, it's just so terrifying because everything became declassified. You have access to all this new information, all the interviews, all the people who were not interviewed, all the people who were paid to shut up or threatened, or, you know what I mean? Like, just so much mind-blowing things are revealed in this documentary that I am like, this is scary. It is real scary. And the fact that this movie or documentary was allowed to be released, how are the people, the creators, the people, how were they not shut up? You know, how were they not, maybe they thought that, oh, people won't believe this is just crazy talk, or, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know. If you've seen the documentary, you know what I'm talking about. I don't want to get too much into it because it'll make me sound like a crazy person. But you gotta admit that the assassination of JFK has always just been like, I don't know about that. I don't know about that. And it goes into every single detail. Like, not just about, you know, like the magic bullet, or it goes into medical histories of all this stuff, and like, it's so detailed, and it's like they put it together so well. It's like, what? It doesn't point a finger at exactly who the person was who, you know what I mean? But like, I don't know, it was just real good, but it was real scary. Like, literally, I was watching it at the house by myself, waiting for because I have to leave to go get the kids at a specific time, and I would watch little chunks of it, and I had to stop watching it one day because it got too scary for me. I was like, oh my god, like, why do you do this when you're scared? Why do you lift your shoulders up? Like, I was scared. I had to take a break because I was like, oh, it's too real, too scary. I don't want to believe this is the world that I live in. It's eye-opening. Let's just say that. Believe it, don't believe it, whatever. It's still really good to watch, especially if you like history and stuff like that, you know, and learning about people, that kind of thing. Anyway, so that is all of the shows, movies, documentaries that I watched for this month. I really hope that you enjoyed that. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you soon.